Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Ministers, Honourable Leader of Opposition, Honourable Members of Parliament, to our guests in the gallery, and to the people of Fiji. A very good afternoon to you all. Honourable Speaker, I rise in support of the motion by the Honourable Prime Minister that this Parliament thanks His Excellency, the President, for his most gracious speech. First of all, I would like to join my colleagues in wishing everyone, especially our children, a very happy World Children's Day. It is very encouraging to see everyone wearing blue, with the usual exception of Honourable Noekula, of course, as requested by the Honourable Speaker yesterday, to show support for his important day for the future leaders of this world and our country, our children. Honourable as well. Honourable Speaker, as I stand to speak, having heard the opposition members speak for the last 2 days, I wonder if the opposition members are really awake and seeing the things happening around them, or they are fast asleep as they have been since 2014. Honourable Speaker, they do not see the things that we see. They do not see the things that we on this side of the House and the people of Fiji see. They don't realize what is happening around them. We see economic activity. We see buildings coming up. We see roads and bridges. We see happy children, progressive people, and a prosperous country. Honourable Speaker, what they see is potholes and debts. They forget that there were no roads before in places where they are counting potholes today. What they see is fiction. What they don't see is that the debts we take are to build assets for this nation. Honourable Speaker, they talk about our 1% projected economic growth and try to undermine it. What they forget is that in the face of global economic slowdown because of the US-China trade war, Brexit, and many other uncertainties, where even large economies like India have negative economic projections, Fiji is still able to keep its head high with a 10-year unbroken streak of economic growth, and it still has a positive outlook. The opposition, instead of recognizing the fact, are busy nitpicking. How unpatriotic, Honourable Speaker. The opposition has failed to adhere to His Excellency's words that no one should politicize the economy. In doing so, you are only hurting the prospects of the people who voted you in. Honourable Speaker, the opposition's glass is always half empty. Let me assure them and the people that when we leave, if we ever do, we are not going to take away the buildings and the bridges with us. That is the investment we have made for the people of Fiji, and we will leave behind with the people together with our legacy. Honourable Speaker, it is a shame that the members of the opposition have the audacity to talk about the economy when they themselves have done everything to damage it. From damaging the agriculture industry, to intermeddling with the renewal of sugarcane leases, and to spreading of fake news, you name it. Honourable Speaker, the opposition is continuously harping about the number of votes Fiji Fest received in the last election. What they conveniently forget is that we still won, and that is why we are sitting on this side of the House. The opposition forgets that the people still voted for us and chose us over them to lead the nation because they have the confidence in our governance. Please accept the fact and live in peace. Honourable Speaker, His Excellency highlighted the importance of the 2013 Constitution. His Excellency highlighted the importance of the 2013 Constitution and its path-breaking characteristics in ensuring that Fiji practices a just and fair political system addressing equal opportunities and enjoyment for all the rights and protections. Honourable Speaker, the implementation of the 2013 Constitution has brought a sense of pride by giving us all a common identity to be known as Fijians. Its constitutional rights and protections have ensured security, economic stability, peace and prosperity. Now than ever before, the people of Fiji have easy access to information and recognize their rights to be informed. We now have equal opportunities to essential amenities, agricultural assistance, technological and infrastructure development, financial assistance and employment, and to name a few. As I complete my 1 year of service to the people in my office as the Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources, I wish to thank my staff at the Ministry of Lands and Mineral Resources for their unwavering support and dedication to serve to service delivery. Honourable Speaker, the Ministry for Lands and Mineral Resources, in its pursuit to safeguard the spirit of the 2013 Constitution, is currently engaged in various internal and external consultations in reviewing and modifying its relevant legislation and policies. The review of the Mining Act and Mineral Policy, making amendments to the Surveyors Regulation, and the continuous evaluation of the business process, re-engineering of the Ministry's internal system operations, the SOPs, are some strategies the Ministry is taking so that the administration and management of the state land mineral resources is made relevant and applicable to the 2013 Constitution and environmental sustainability. Honourable Speaker, our aim is to keep abreast with technological advancement and digital platforms. The Ministry, following Cabinet approval, is now able to provide through OneWaView Online data such as cadastral tenure, village settlement, infrastructure and transport, and elevation data to commercial users. Honourable Speaker, as a result, our society will now be more knowledge-based and able to make sound decisions, given the OneWaView Online allows users to overlay property data with other information as mentioned above, make analysis and query property data. Furthermore, property data inquirers such as land surveyors, real estate agents, non-government agencies, and statutory authorities are able to access relevant data at the press of a button. This contributes to national economic growth and therefore impacts capital investment involving education, health, natural resources, and infrastructure sectors, to name a few. Mr. Speaker, in alignment to the Sustainable Development Goals 2013, the 2013 Constitution and the 5-year and 20-year National Development Plan, the Ministry will continue to contribute and vigorously work towards reducing the poverty level of our country. As of date, approximately 2,600 Fijians in 22 informal settlements have benefited from this government's ongoing initiative. I say ongoing because this government is committed to looking after the citizens of this nation. Mr. Speaker, giving people hope, safety, a sense of security and belonging through the issuance of proper leases to those who reside in informal settlements, approval notices, cannot be ignored nor overlooked. Putting a smile on the Fijian people where they are able to say, this property is mine, makes this government men and women of their word. Mr. Speaker, no country can prosper unless it utilizes its land and resources in a sustainable manner. His Excellency raised a very pertinent point when he stated that we are drilling boreholes that provide clean water. The importance of water for any human being cannot be overstated. The right of every Fijian to adequate supply of clean water under Section 36 of the Constitution is led by the Mineral Resource Department to identify and conduct water sources assessment for those in need of water supply. The Ministry will continue to ensure the provision of safe and clean water in the years to come. With this year's theme of World Water Day, the Ministry, through its project activities, strongly support that no one is to be left behind and be deprived from accessing one's life's basic need. Honourable Speaker, for the past 2 financial years, the Ministry for Lands has successfully drilled 28 boreholes, of which 6 schools and 22 communities, villages and settlements have benefited. Additionally, there were a total of 25 boreholes reticulated with a total of 6 schools, 2 government stations and 17 communities, villages and settlements as far as Dikombia village in Vanuatu in Laos have had groundwater distributed to their doorsteps through our groundwater development project and assistance or involvement from other agencies. In all, a total of 528 households with a population of 3,107 in the maritime islands and villages, settlements, schools have benefited so far from groundwater sources, some of whom have experienced critical water shortages, especially during the dry seasons. Mr. Speaker, groundwater has the potential to provide alternative water source supply to rural communities, schools as well as commercially related ventures where they are present. Therefore, there is an urgent need to establish a framework and policy to protect Fiji's water resources from overexploitation, contamination and pollution. The Ministry, in collaboration with other stakeholders like agriculture, environment, waterways, infrastructure and rural and maritime development, has formed a task force to try to improve water supply to identify drought-prone areas, especially in the sugarcane belt of the nation. Executing these activities using existing expertise within these ministries fosters a system that will ensure better livelihoods for farmers in the country. Honourable Speaker, The Ministry for Lands and Mineral Resources is proud to be able to contribute towards the country's growth through the tourism industry, mining and quarry industries. The Ministry has undoubtedly contributed towards economic development and economic growth through the issuance of foreshore development leases, issuance of mining leases, issuance of gravel licenses, and issuance of commercial agriculture and industrial leases. These leases and licenses boost economic activity, foreign investment, infrastructure development, and creates employment opportunities, brings revenue into our country. Honourable Speaker, the Ministry, in accordance with Section 30 of the 2013 Constitution, has successfully implemented the right of landowners to fair share of royalties for extraction of minerals. As per Section 5 of the Fair Share of Mineral Royalties Act 2018, the total royalty funds that have been distributed to date amounts to $4,382,533. Honourable Speaker, out of this, a total of $1,114,095 was paid out to 3 Itoke land-owning units, namely Matangali Serau, Nambiti Maduata, Matangali Naita, Lekutumbua, Matangali Naindombo, Nawailevu Bua. Further, a sum of $3.268 million was paid out to 2 freehold land-owning units, namely Patakola Gold Mine Limited and Nasomo Landowners Trust. Honourable Speaker, more mineral royalty payout is due in the coming months and years, for which the Ministry will greatly facilitate. Exactly. Honourable Speaker, speaking on the relationship between land and agriculture, Honourable Kurindrani in his statement spoke about the decline in the sugar industry and blamed the government for it. Honourable Kurindrani stated that during the reign of Fiji First government, sugar production has decreased. The sugar production did not just fall on one fine day. It has been caused by bad decisions and neglect of the past governments. Honourable Speaker, let me enlighten Honourable Kurindrani on where the problem is. Recently, Honourable Speaker, recently I visited Wainikoro in Ndongo, which was once a flourishing cane farm area. After the 1987 coup happened, the farmers were chased overnight, even with years remaining on their lease term. Today, when we go there, we see house structures, foundations still visible through the bushes. It has been 32 years. And the lands are still uncultivated. This is the story in other places around the country as well, Honourable Speaker, where the house foundations are there, but nobody is cultivating them because the farmers have been chased out overnight. How does the sugar industry progress with this kind of irresponsible behavior? We can't plant cane on water or in the air. We need land to plant cane on. And the irresponsible leadership has driven the farmers away from that land. Under the leadership of our current Prime Minister, landowners are freely making land available for cultivation, not only for sugar, but for rice as well. Honourable Speaker, on 14 November, I had the honour to officiate the first ever rice development project by Fiji Rice Limited in Lambasa. This is a classic example of idle land being utilised for a much greater purpose. A total of approximately 15 acres of land from Gawai Ra and Vunivutu Matangali are being utilised for this project, and the landowners are to receive the proceeds based on the weight of paddy, after the cost is deducted, and at the same time the land rice farming. This is basically a better lease arrangement initiative whereby the developer and the landowning unit work in partnership to obtain the highest and best value return of the land. Honourable Speaker, just opposite that road, the Gawa landowners have engaged with the Fiji Sugar Corporation under similar arrangements, where once barren land, which now is under growing cane crop. These types of initiatives are helping the nation grow and also helping the landowners earn some money. This is a positive outcome of our leadership. His Excellency has encouraged us to engage in nation building, but how do we do that when we have some members of the opposition looking at everything through the race-colored spectacles? Honourable Speaker, Honourable Nawekula recently posted about the United Nations meeting on his Facebook page a message under the head, Native Fijian majority wait passively home as HR delegation cover up indigenous rights abuse in Geneva. He deliberately edited a photograph to show only pictures of non-Itoke members of the delegation, when the entire delegation, in fact, had people of all ethnic backgrounds. This man is a threat to national security, Honourable Speaker. This man is a threat to national security. Honourable Speaker, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Andre Chale said in his statement that he has tried to approach ministers, but they don't respond. He should ask his fellow members, Honourable Rotememo Kepa, Honourable Nawai Kula, Honourable Linda Tumbuya, Honourable Matani Tambua, Honourable Loere, Honourable Saukuru, and many others whom I have accommodated in my office just by a simple phone call. I don't know where Mr. Honourable Chase Saukuru is getting information from. Ask your colleagues. He's making allegation. Exactly. Why lie about it? Honourable Speaker, how can we build a stronger nation when we have Honourable Lalambalavu calling a certain section of the population Vulangi? How can we respect each other when Honourable Gerengere Tambua cases not only us, but our descendants as well? My children who are not even born yet have been cast, Honourable Speaker. How can we talk about reducing crime rate? How can we talk about reducing crime rate and violence when Honourable Bulitavu seems to be justifying violence by saying Ethiopian men are bigger and can beat up their partners, but the Indo-Fijian men take out their churi out? How can we stop violence and aggression when we have honourable members like this promoting violence? Honourable Speaker, the opposition is calling on our Prime Minister to resign. The opposition is calling on our Prime Minister to resign. They are asking us to resign. But then they have no confidence in their own motion of no confidence. They file it one day and withdraw it the next to save embarrassment. All I can say is that the opposition is devoid of ideas. The opposition must accept the fact that despite all the fake news about the sale of Kandavu, about a Chinese takeover, and the circulation of that fake DVD by Honourable Bulitavu, all the fear-mongering, the Fiji First Party still won the elections. The Fiji First Party still won the elections. Live with it. We do not stoop down to their mudslinging, and the people know that. We here on the Fiji First Party side, we don't stoop down to their level of mudslinging, and that's why we win. Honourable Speaker, as I speak on nation building, let me give an example of my recent trip to Serbia, which used to be part of the former Yugoslavia. Honourable Nanoda was there with me, including yourself, Honourable Speaker. This country has been invaded and destroyed 47 times in history. From the Roman and the Ottoman invasions to the First and Second World Wars to the most recent NATO bombings. Honourable Speaker, every time this country was damaged, the people got together and built it up again. After the Second World War, only sand and swamp was left of its capital, Belgrade. The people did not wait for help. The volunteers got together by the call of their then President Tito, and built the country up. There are hardly any memories of those days left. Today, when you visit the nation, you'll see a prosperous nation because its people had the collective will to build the nation. Honourable Speaker, that is the type of attitude we need from the opposition members. Please help us build the nation. Do not destroy the nation with your fake news. Do not destroy the nation by hurting the economy. Please help us build the nation. Your generations will remember you. Honourable Speaker, as we look forward to celebrating the 50th anniversary of Fiji's independence next year, we are to be reminded that Fiji, although being a small island state, is a much larger country at heart and in spirit. Fiji and our Prime Minister, Honourable Bainimarama, are making waves around the world by making significant contribution to the global setting. My plea to everyone listening to me is to unite, to come forward, to rise above petty politics and help us build Fiji. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a very prosperous New Year, Honourable Speaker. Thank you very much.